interesting study several years ago where they looked at how important is price in influencing what you actually do in various industries, various professions. And to take it from one extreme to another, you can see here that when you're talking about airline flights, in particular leisure airlines, we're going on vacation to Florida. This is something where price is highly important, and so high of importance that 69% of individuals said this is the number one thing that I would describe as being as important as anything else. Then you can look at kind of all these other sectors, but as you take it to the furthest extreme, to the other side, it's really interesting how they perceive healthcare. Because although cost is important, and to 8% of individuals, it was the number one thing on their list, for 92% of them, wasn't the top thing that was important to them. That was interesting. See, because when we're trying to value the services that we provide to patients, I think that we can sit down with any patient and you could probably tell them why optometry is the primary healthcare profession that you need to be seeing, and this is why, X, Y, Z. But when the public, or the perspective of the patients that we see coming in from us, if we're not consciously shaping those perceptions, and if we're not consciously doing something to help them understand that, what's going to happen is they're going to have an interaction with us. And depending on when it is during the day, in the morning it may be more fruitful, maybe more of a discussion. In the afternoon, particularly if it's getting close to when we're supposed to be leaving and we're backed up with patients and we're looking out in our reception areas and saying, oh God, this day's never going to end. Those conversations change just a little bit, but we realize there's this big void that exists between what we know about our profession and what we deliver and what patients actually perceive. It actually created kind of a mindset for me that I almost, and this was about a decade ago that I cognizantly started doing this. I cognizantly started to decommoditize the services that I provide. Let me give you a perfect example of what I mean. So this is a common question that people ask when they call into the practice. Yeah, I'm new to town and I'm looking to get an eye exam, just wondering how much an eye exam costs. So this is the response to that question, a simply benign question that somebody asks. For a comprehensive assessment focused on your needs, assuming you have no either vision or medical insurance, the cost is XYZ. Inevitably, the next question is, wait a second, is that the same as an eye exam that I can get at place XYZ? And I say, we don't know what you can get at XYZ, and we don't know what they do for their exam. Let's tell you what we do for our exam. And we have this 10-point step process that everybody on the phone should be responding with. And it was actually created by the non-OD employees so that they were comfortable communicating that to anybody that actually called into our office asking that question. What we've literally done right off the kicker, right off the bat, is we put our services just in a different folder. So they were calling in asking about an eye exam, and all they were going to do is going to get the price, and they were going to put us in a certain folder. And what we did was we completely switched the script. So now they've created a different folder for something that they're going to get at our office that may or may not be more or less expensive than someplace else, but we've created a new folder cognitively for these individuals. See, it's a conscious process that we do. And part of the way that we do that is when they come to the practice, we like to think that we offer something very, very different. Now, many of you have probably sat through practice management lectures, and many of you have probably sat through discussions where people have said things like, well, you need to provide a great experience. And you say, okay. And they say, yeah, you need to provide a great experience. And then you say, okay, tell me more, how do I do that? Well, you just need to provide a great experience. One of the best definitions for this was from an optometrist that I heard a decade ago at the Johnson & Johnson Vision Care Institute. Derek Artis, who used to be professional affairs there, he's now professional affairs with another company. But he shared with me what he felt, what his best definition was an experience that somebody perceives. Because an experience isn't a real thing. It's not a real thing, it's not a tangible thing, it's not a thing that you can literally add up. Or can you? See, he described experience as describing it as the perceptions that somebody has of the goods or services that they've received from an individual minus what they expected to get. It's literally as simple as that. It's a mathematical equation. What you guys are going to find is that as I deliver some of these concepts, I'm going to put them down to their bare bones, because this is how, from my perspective, this is how I function best. If there's too much else clouding it, I sometimes get lost in the minutiae. So I need to, from my personal perspective, I need to simplify things. So I know that we can provide a positive experience if what a patient's perceptions are, what they perceive, walking in and leaving the practice, are better than what they actually expected to get. And I know that I've created a negative experience if what they perceive is worse than what they expected. I like to make things very tangible, sometimes even going outside of eye care, for example. So this was about a decade ago, and I called my wife up and I said, "Hey, Son," I go, "I'm going to take you out for a glass of wine right after work." I go, "I need it, it's been a long day." So, okay. So our former next door neighbor, who owned the driving service, knocked on our door, and he said, "Hey, Sonia, I'm here to pick you up for your date with your husband." She said, what are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, he's over there, he's waiting in the back seat of the car." So she gets to the car, he opens the door up for her, she sits in the back seat of the car. She said, "No, what's all this?" "Oh, nothing, I'm just taking you out for a glass of wine." So I hand her over a letter. The letter has the word Sonia on it, or her name on it, and then around her name I drew a little heart. And then I put a little rose in the back where you fold over the envelope, and I stuck the rose over there, and I handed it to her. She starts crying. And I said, "Oh, what's wrong, son?" She said, "I just can't believe you're doing all this." So she opens up the letter, there's a whole bunch of mushy stuff, starts crying a little bit more. As she's doing that, I open up small little traveler bottles of wine. Nobody's part of the state highway patrol here, are they? Okay, good. So I open up these little traveler wines and I pour us a little cup in the backseat of the car. We get dropped off at one of the best restaurants in Toledo, Nancy's Steakhouse. And when we get there, we walk in the door. My wife was a pharmacy student at the time. But she said, "Dr. Brujic?" I said, "Brujic, come on in. We've been waiting for you." When we get there, they sit us down. The ambiance is just gorgeous. They bring those big kind of shrimp, like the frozen cocktail glass, and they bring the glass of wine. Regardless of what's in that glass of wine, I've created a positive experience because Sonia expected something, and I delivered so far against that it was a positive experience. But just as easy as it is to make a positive experience, it's very, very easy to create negative experiences. Literally a month after, I said, "Sonia, let's go grab a glass of wine after, or let's go grab a drink after the office." Sonia gets dulled up to the nines because she's high heels on. I get home and I'm honking because I'm on a conference call. She comes out to the door, she's expecting all this kind of stuff. She opens the passenger side door that's like, we had a Jeep Liberty at the time, and that Jeep Liberty door, from the day we bought it, it never opened up right, and we never brought it back to the dealership. So squeaks open, she opens her own door, and I tell her, as soon as she gets in, I go, So we go to my parents' place. They're having like this big picnic. It's hot outside. It just rains, so it's humid. We get there. All my nieces and nephews are tugging on her dress. And when she finally gets her glass of wine, it comes in this cup. And it's pulled out of the box. Congratulations, you just screwed up big time. Because her expectations were so much higher because of the bar that I'd set previously. And her perception of this event was probably about as bad as it could have gone. This is one of the real ways that we can actually create these processes in our practice that are sustainable. Just as an example, one of the things that's a sustainable process in the practice is what I call the triangle of trust. So every single patient, when they're done their exam, if they're updating their glasses, there's me, there's optician in the practice, there's patient. And this is a physical triangle that we create. And after I've discussed several things, the optician comes in, we rediscuss things. If the patient has any questions, they ask me or they ask the optician, and then I leave. And it's this kind of a beautiful triad of transferring the trust that we actually had created in the exam room down to the optical or the contact lens section. The reality is the days when we go to implement these types of things are the same days that 3 people called in sick, and the phones don't seem like they're stopping ringing. Oh, and it's also the day that you actually look at your own personal accounts receivable and think, why are these so high? And you give it to somebody. And it's also the day that you hear somebody from the other end of the room talking about, oh, my contact lenses didn't come in. You hear another person coming in and said, well, I thought my appointment was today. I didn't think it was in 2 days from now. And there's just stuff that pollutes these systems that we put in place. And those are the days that we literally leave the office and we think, why are we even putting ourselves through this stress, and why are we even doing this? So the question I ask you is, what actually takes you and your team through those days so that you can actually create those experiences in the hustle and bustle and in the day-to-day of what we do in the trenches? How can we now layer on one other little piece to think about? Well, we personally, we cannot. It's almost impossible at times to layer something else on our schedule. It's why it's incumbent upon everybody that we practice with to carry a similar philosophy. Now, what I'm going to be sharing with you guys is deep-rooted in the concept that I'm going to be describing here next. So, there you go. There's my family. On the left-hand side is me. On the right-hand side is my beautiful wife. The person that's standing right in front here is Zoe. This is an older picture. She's 5 years older. She's graduated kindergarten. And this is my youngest daughter, Ava, who is a few years younger than Zoe. So we were looking for a car. Okay. Now here's the cool thing about me and about Sonia. My father, I'm originally from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Is there any Canadians in here? Yeah, shut them out. Actually, I'm a dual citizen now, so I'm North American, I tell everybody. So, I'm originally from Windsor, Ontario. Sonia's originally from Windsor, Ontario. Both live in Northwest Ohio now. We both have dual citizenship, and the cool part about our families is that my dad, I grew up, he was at Chrysler's, he worked on the line his whole life. Sonia's father worked at Ford's as an electrician his whole life. So whenever we walk onto a car dealership, either a Ford or a Chrysler dealership, we get what they refer to as an E-plan discount or an employee plan discount. We get those cars for the exact same price that an employee of each of those corporations could walk on that lot and get those cars for. It's kind of cool when we're buying new cars because we get just, again, an immediate benefit. So what do you think, for this family, a logical car would be? Husband, wife, 2 kids. Kids are active. They do dance, they play soccer, they have friends, you're carting them around, you're carting around stuff. What's a logical solution car for this family? I just heard a convertible. What's a logical car for my sanity? Convertible. A logical car for this family is a minivan. The most practical thing you've ever seen in your life. Low to the ground so kids can get in easy. Now they have the bucket seats in the back. They have all this automatic stuff where you can stow and go. I mean, it's just, it's a beautiful piece of car and very, very practical for a family. So here's what happened. Friday afternoon, Sonia said, this is what we're going to do, Neil. We're going to go, as soon as you're done work, we're going to go to the strip in Toledo. It's got all the car dealerships on it. We're going to go up there, we're going to pick a car, then we're going to go to dinner after. I go, perfect. It's going to be easy. There's like a start point, there's an end point to it. I don't want to spend like, months looking into this. I get a phone call message on my cell phone. It's about 3:30. Hey Neil, you're not going to believe this. I found the perfect car for us, so we'll just go up there, double check it, and then we'll be all set. We'll grab dinner after that. So she picks me up after the office, and I said, well, are you going to tell me what it is? She said, no, I just want to show you. So she drives us on the Ford dealership, and when she drives us onto the Ford lot, I literally remember thinking, what type of mafia person is going to get this car? It was this car, but it was all shaded tinted windows. And the rims were all dulled up. And she looked at me and said, that's it! That's our car! And I thought, Ben, I go, we need that? Oh, yeah. And she starts showing me everything inside. She goes, take a look at this. I got the tan leather interiors because we don't want the black leather to get hot in the summertime in Northwest Ohio. And I said, do we even need leather seats? She's like, oh, of course we do. And take a look at this. She's showing me all these features and sunroof and everything. And then I said, Ben, what's this on the back of these seats? She said, oh, these are DVD players for the girls. I said, for what? She said, oh, for when we go on our road trips, like we can have these so they can watch DVDs. You know how many road trips we've been on prior to that visit to the car dealership? 0. You know how many we've been on since then? 0. We're not the road trip. We just don't do that kind of stuff. What was interesting was I was actually trying to identify the reason that Sonia was selecting that car utilizing logic. That's what I was trying to do. When in actuality, it had nothing to do with logic. Actually, what I'm going to share with you right now is so important that it will literally lead you to either success or failure, period. What I'm going to share with you right now has revolutionized the way that we personally stay focused on patient care. It's revolutionized the way we stay focused on what our global mission is for our practice. It's changed everything for us. How many of you have heard the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek? Okay, so if you haven't read this book, my recommendation is this. Go on YouTube, just type in Start With Why by Simon Sinek and watch his, it's about a 10 to 15 minute YouTube video. I think the one that I saw was he was in Perry Sound. We actually showed this video and shared it with the whole group, all 3 of our locations when we do our yearly retreat every year. What's interesting about this book is it sounds cheesy on the front end. And I got this book 2 years before I actually read it. Because the way I was describing this book is, oh, it talks about why you do what you do. And I looked at the person who gave it to me and I said, I know why I do what I do. Yeah, but it's more than that. And he was talking kind of quirky. It was just weird the way he was describing it to me. And then I actually had the opportunity to watch the YouTube video. And it was pretty remarkable and pretty surprising to me how it's changed every facet of the way I look at every single thing that I do. See, it's interesting when you look at human communication. Human communication is very cerebral. Very cerebral. Hi, what's your name? Melissa. What do you do, Melissa?
Well, I do a lot.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm a mom.
Okay.
I own a small vision organization.
Okay.
And I'm SNAPP.
Okay.
Those are the 3 main things I do.
Okay, so now I've created the first level of communication with you. Then, if I feel like, well, we have a connection something, if there's some type of connection, sorry for the floppy handshake, you got a good handshake. I gave you like this, it was pretty floppy. So, the next thing I then ask is if there's a connection there, if I feel like, what she's already talked to me about, she's on this SNAPP leadership board. Tell me more about that. Like, how does that work? How does that function? Tell me a little bit more about your pearl. Like, how does that actually function? She starts telling me, oh, look, this is what I do. This is what we do. And ultimately, what every single one of us at these types of meetings are doing are trying to find our peeps. What do I mean by our peeps? We're trying to find people that we have commonalities with, so much so that we share, or we feel we share a similar why. You see what you're Melissa? Oh, so Melissa. So